Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and I make content about holistic self-love. Today I wanted to talk about consent because this topic popped up in one of my podcast interviews and I thought, what a great topic to talk about in a video. And here we are. So consent is a topic that can be a little bit uncomfortable. People don't really know how to approach this topic, but I wanted to talk about it in a way that actually could be fun and sexy because it's very important to have consent, but we don't take away the fun from sexual encounters. I think of consent, in this post-Me Too era, it could be something that's a little bit of a sticky topic. And I think sometimes it's very important to have consent, not just... Sometimes things can be a bit ambiguous when you're in an intimate situation. I know I have been in situations where I wasn't kind of super enthusiastic about it, but I didn't say no either. And sometimes I've been in situations where I have completely frozen because I didn't know how to speak up and say, I don't want this, or I'm not happy with this. And at the end, I felt so bad. It was like a personal betrayal, and I also felt bad for that person because they didn't know that I was not fully engaged in the activity. Yeah, and also I've had situations where I've had the talk before intimacy happens, and then my boundaries have been pushed to points that have been very uncomfortable, and again I've just frozen rather than saying, "Hey, what are you doing?" So I think when in those situations of intimacy, we can become very awkward and not really know how to communicate desire and communicate lack of desire as well. That's so important. However, I know other situations where I have a friend who was with someone who was very asking for consent in every moment, and she was just thinking, I just wanted him to just take me, She thought by being in an intimate situation with him that meant there was a green light all over. So I wanted to think about ways and how we could have this consent, but also to still have some fun in a intimate situation. So I've written down some ideas how to make consent fun and sexy. So before we actually get to the bedroom or wherever you're going to have sex, I think it's good to have a talk about expectations and desires and tastes. I think that's a really good thing to do, and that can be actually part of the foreplay as well, and it can really get the desire that it can really gain momentum and just increase that desire, mutual desire. And also you can ask questions to get to know the other person. That might not be just before the first time you're together, but before the next time you're together, because every sexual encounter has potential for growth and learning more and doing different things. So I think it's important to ask those questions. What do you like? What turns you on? What do you want to do with me? That kind of thing, and have a really sexy conversation beforehand. Yes, that's really, really important. But remember that even if you say you like this activity or that activity, it doesn't mean you want it all the time. So, for example, let's say if I like cunnilingus, doesn't mean that I might want it all the time. But maybe I'm in a situation where I don't feel like it right now. You know what I mean? Just for whatever reason. So I think it's important to know that consent or the things you like can change according to the situation as well. So sometimes I think someone else I interviewed talked about the traffic light system. For example, a green light could be something I'm always up for. I'm always up for a hug or a kiss on the cheek, but something that might be a red light might be just touching your breast or something like that. I had a partner once who was kind of like, we were just talking in the kitchen, he would just like grab my breast and I was like, hey, what are you doing? And that's I share that with you just to try and illustrate the point that sometimes if you are intimate with someone doesn't mean they can always just grab your body whenever they want. So yeah, it's good to kind of talk about what are the limits, what's an always a yes, if anything, and what's kind of you need to kind of be warmed up for. So that's something to think about. But definitely talking before any intimacy happens can actually be very, very sexy and a lot of fun. Then I would something I love from the BDSM community is that they often use safe words. A safe word is something you use to stop the activity. So there are kind of some people use another traffic light system. So red would be stop, but amber or yellow could be approaching the limit. So it's good to maybe have two different words, and these words should not be no. It's something that's agreed upon. So a common word would be red or or amber. And I remember once I used, I think it was be nice with a tickle fetishist. That was kind of interesting because he kept saying to me, don't you want to say be nice? And I was like, oh no. I was trying to resist, but that wasn't a kind of situation where I felt I was in any danger. It's just that tickling is very intense. But yeah, I think establishing a safe word is a very good thing to do, not just for people who practice BDSM, but any type of sexual practice. I think it's good to know, when boundaries are being approached, so there is a bit of a warning beforehand. Because what you don't want to be in a situation where, just like I described at the beginning, you don't want to be in a situation where you're freezing because you don't have the courage to speak up. This communication should always be open, and you should be okay if your partner says they don't want to do a certain thing and not be offended by it. So that's really, really important. It's really important to keep that dialogue going. Also, the safe word could be actually a kind of gesture. You could have a certain physical code that you could establish beforehand, like this means this, that kind of thing. If that makes any sense. I remember I was in a club once, just as going as press. I wasn't going to participate because I used to go to lots of different liberal events here in Barcelona just as press, which is kind of fun because I'm definitely a voyeur. And they had this rule in a club where you just went like that with your right hand from the top to the bottom, and that meant like no, stop. Whereas that meant you could just be in a situation where there's music playing and you didn't have to exchange any words or anything with people. So yeah, that's something you could do as well. And then there was something that I saw on the series Sex Education. It was called Enthusiastic Consent. So Enthusiastic Consent, it was a scene between, I think it was called Jackson and this girl who they were making out, and then she, to his surprise, put her finger in his bum. And he was like, whoa! That was kind of with a lack of consent. But then they kind of discovered this technique called enthusiastic consent. Like, can I take your top off? Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I put my finger up your bum? Yes. So it was a very different it was almost quite playful, which is definitely what you want. And enthusiastic consent is about looking for a yes and not just an absence of a no. There's a very interesting series, what is it called, with Sienna Miller, Anatomy of a Scandal. I actually already reviewed it on this channel because I was so interested in it and how these lines of consent can be very ambiguous when you're in a heated moment. Let's say you've already had sex with someone, then it's the 5th time you're together and suddenly things get a bit rough or go into a direction that you weren't quite prepared for, and you've already kind of consented to the first part. So what do you do in that situation? Because I think it's quite common to freeze and not really know how to communicate that no. So the whole series was about, is an absence of a yes a no. So that was something that was quite interesting. But I think it's very interesting. It's actually a good idea to go for that yes at all times, not just one yes, but you might need several yeses if things are getting hotter and hotter. So you know that you've got that yes for things as they unravel. Then another thing I think is kind of cool to make it even sexier is also to compliment your partner. For example, a lot of the time when we are in sexual encounters, we can feel quite shy about our bodies, about what we're doing, about how I think there's something like you don't want to come across as someone who's not experienced but not too experienced, that kind of thing. So it's kind of weird. It's nice to be complimented in about what you're doing and how you look, and if you're turning the other person on as well. So having those exchanges of sharing compliments when something is working really well, and also maybe guiding someone's hand to try and do or to touch you in a place that you want to be touched, obviously if they're okay with going there, and in a way that you like as well. And something that I did, I think was really cool. I was with a guy once who was very inexperienced. He felt very shy with me, and he said, guide me. So that's a kind of cool thing to make to actually bring some communication and guidance in there. Another thing which is kind of cool is expressing desire as well. I really want to do this, I really want to do that, are you okay with it? So you got that desire element in there as well. So compliments and expressing desire could be a very sexy way for having consent, but also being okay with them saying no, and not no pressure. It's very important, not no pressure. And then at the end of an encounter, I think it's really important or it would be a good idea to actually check in with the person and see, how was it for you? What did you like? What turned you on the most? And you could do that straight away after, or maybe you would like to talk about it in a situation by text or something after the fact, and just to see how they are reflecting upon your encounter, and get some clarity and communication, so you know where to go next time, what you want more of, what you want less of, etc. But it's just really important to kind of keep that dialogue open, and so that everything that's happening is consensual. It's very important, very, very important. Anyway, I hope this helps you to approach the topic of consent in a sexier and more fun way. If you have any tips on this topic, please don't hesitate to leave a comment below so that we can all learn, because it's very, very, very important. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll be back soon with some more videos. If you have any topics you'd like me to talk about, just email me, venus@venussahara.org, or you can leave a comment below. And I have a free gift for you. I have created the Life Upgrade meditation, which is 100 affirmations that represent 12 areas of the life wheel. And that is a 16-minute meditation. And if you'd like to get your copy of it, click on the link in the description below, and I'll happily send it to you. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with some more videos. Mwah.